Okay, here we are back again at the 437th Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And Mr. Kesh, are you ready to start the second half here? Would you like to entertain questions from our attendees and others? How would you like to begin?
As usual, if we don't break, we are too old and we're too traditional and we have to do things our way. We've done it for 10 years. It's just like old broken record. We have to do the same thing. Otherwise, oh, he didn't ask question this time. He didn't do that last time. The only thing we've broken away from was, if you remember, we allowed knowledge seekers to come and share what they've done, and we had to stop that because of the events we saw and the things the way they happened. I have to explain to you something very interesting. People who go through this process of what we call getting to know themselves better, understanding that they can allow the soul to take over and see things, will learn new ways of living. We learn an amazing process of communication. You cannot eavesdrop, but you can become aware of. It's a big difference. I want to go, I'm in beautiful city of Vienna. I want to go to London to see my son with my soul. But I want to take the physicality. My son accidentally has gone to Frankfurt the day before. Today, I make a trip to go to London, takes me hours of the flight. But now, if you understand the possibilities and the capabilities of the soul, my soul will get in touch with the soul. Are you home? Daddy wants to come home to see you. Then I take the physicality. Maybe I still take a plane, but I'm aware that he's there when I get there. When you stand in front of your daughter-in-law, you don't need to say anything because mouth speaks, as a lot of our people talk, but you see the soul, you know the true intention. And would you still say, hello, darling, how are you? Says, thank you very much. I know what you're thinking. I'm going back. You don't want me here for dinner. Or, I know you enjoy me. I brought something for the grandchild. We all enjoy it together. The element of lies, which a lot of mankind do, and they accuse others to be the liars, will go out of the equation. And we see that in the machine. We see that clearly in our system. And very interesting is how many of us, when we go through the system, will change when we come out of it. I've seen a few people. They totally change. They change in a way that they see more. They don't change that become this and that. They change that they see new possibilities. They change that they see new horizon. And they change in a beautiful way to themselves. And a couple of them I've seen, I tell them, go on live, and in a few weeks' time, come back. When we invite you to come back by the foundation, we don't pay for the sessions and coming back. I heard a couple of knowledge saying, oh, Mr. Kesh is invited us back. We know who we invite back, unless you heard from us directly. We haven't. We know why, the reason we invite people back. Because we want to extend. We want to understand more. I invite people to come back, like the team of doctors that are invited back, because them understanding, they can help the patients with a new knowledge. And others the same. You don't need to be a doctor. Try to come to understand the totality. The totality is you and nothing else. And enjoy. I'm really looking forward to next week Italian party and see how many of them got dragged back from the moon, Mars, and other places, and how many of them were locked on the land. We allow you to a certain limit of the freedom in the control room, in the flight. We provide you with a chair and a table that you can wine and dine. And we want to see how many of you will go through the process. How many of you don't go through the process? It's another, what I call Italian party on the beach. Do not bring any stereo system that it can electronically interfere with us. Bring your guitar. Bring what we call, they want to bring a dog. Why not? We'll see, but we have to approve the dog because we have limitations and we have to do a lot of things. Watch. Bring your cat. Bring some flowers. Let's see how they behave, how they will go through it. And would the dog go crazy with the noise of the interaction of the fields of the system, or go to sleep because it's what the soul is used to? We are here to learn. And the international interaction on 29th will be amazing when we put the French, the Italians, and the Germans all in and see what comes out of this and how will the citizens of the man and the soul level interact. And as Stefania, as the first member of Universal Council, will go through the system on Tuesday. We'll see what it is. The following Monday, we have another member of Universal Council with us going through the system, and we start seeing how we connect to the rest of the community of the languages. And we prepare ourselves for a lot of good things. Our system will not be fully operational as we're changing and hackering, and systems, some places fail due to interaction of the fields, some due to interaction of the, what we call communication of the fields. Hopefully in the next 3-4 weeks we'll be ready to test the physical flight and see what happens. One of our teams called the family, said they're going to be there at that time. They couldn't make it because they were trying to see. So we make these things possible. Very much like olden days when we used to go to Africa, even in Europe, you used to book a time to talk to the family, and you had to go to the telephone office so many hours before, sit in the queue that they can connect, and you send the letter weeks before to the family, such a day I'm going to be there to make a call, you'll be there at the telephone as well. And we're going through that process at the moment. We are back in the olden golden ages of communication, but in a soul level, and then we have to get it right. It'll be very, very interesting for me, and we expect this to happen. We are not ready for it. We don't tell you when we are ready for it, because as we go through the test, one of the first things we would like to see in the environment of the two systems is how we can transmute one object from here to here, or vice versa. And or this process as passengers. Then it comes from us, because we are patterning the system, how we can take you outside the system, where this is the system, which means we have to understand the environment, feel the interaction. We already have done part of this. Now it's actually fine-tuning the system for this process. Without a system, to be able to transmute to any point. I think this is about 6 months to a year out for us. But the development is very rapid. What we saw, because we changed one of the systems slightly, we are adding other things. We made adjustment to some systems since we opened up. We see more and more in that direction of the world. And it was beautiful to see a number of scientists, doctors, and highly qualified people in the world of science to go through this in past 4 sessions. And you'll see some of them tonight when they tell you what they did and how they did. And please, I explain again, we respect you as the citizens of Belgium. Do not try to find a way to get in, because even if you get in, the system knows exactly how to not let you to go anywhere. And our wish is the way it is, and we will stay that way. Come in, and hopefully we'll have a full party reporting when they come out of it. There'll be no video recording or recording inside, and we'll see how the process will be. And maybe during the party, we will go live session on the, what we call the Keshe Foundation Zoom channel, for people to ask questions live from people who are in the process or in the session. I have to warn you very strongly that never leave the room unless you have gone through the full process of what I call decontamination. When you come in, you go through this way, and when you come out, you go through this way. Don't jump. Because what happens when you come out, you're totally blank in what you had before. It's preparation for you to go through, and secondly, is for us to understand what and how you evolve in the process. In the next few weeks, the what I call the two enhancement units which you have would be removed from the room. And the experience has to be. This process of 1, 2, 3, as the guy was telling us yesterday, was very interesting to hear it. He does a lot of meditation, everything together. It takes a lot of preparation. He said it was amazing. I walked in, I was in it. And I know this feeling. And it's much better than trying to do it through meditation, because now I can reach immediately. So when you come in, gradually, we're still creating the ultimate goal. We expect a full flight in groups somewhere by the end of this year, where we can get everybody together. If you go on the moon, one doesn't go on one north and south, and then all four of you end up in one place with all your, what you call, loved ones. Watch the testimonials of today, but look at it beyond the word. Look at the emotion, look at the information which gives you to be able to take that step. And it's touching in somehow, some of them go to detail of what they do, and some don't want to appear on the camera. But yesterday we had the pleasure to have around, I think, about 15 people, 15 people with us. And we had, I think, about 10, 12 on Tuesday. We have reached the number now, the structure, the shape is taking place, and now we know where to and how to change our system, reactors and everything else. Some of the physical changes has to be done, or some has been done partially. And we learned a lot about the energy transfers of the systems and how to be. And something strange has happened to us, which should have not happened. Physically, it's impossible, what we understand, but they answered to me was maybe it was moved. The two systems were put actually by measurement parallel to each other. Yesterday, we noticed one of the unit is in this position. We put it aside, we put it maybe working on it. Maybe it could not push because they don't touch it, but systems are finding their own position. And we have a system which we developed deliberately to, in a way, to mix the fields, and these systems come to halt. And if somebody comes in with the wrong intention, the system stops. So we know they don't understand it, but we know what's going on, because we are now establishing a very clear pattern of the work. This movement is very important for us. We watched it yesterday. I said this has moved where it wasn't there. We observed everything in the room. And as we remember, I told you about the gentleman who came last week. He didn't feel anything, and then he said, but there's a problem. I had an eye which is blind for 6 years. And when he came on Monday, because we asked him to come and go through the flight system, he had a handkerchief with him. And he said, now I have to carry a handkerchief because there's so much tear. For 6 years, there was no tear. And he tells us he can see shadows, light and dark. And it's very interesting to see how it develops through the soul of the vision of the soul of the man to the dimension of its gap. And as I said, we are a space flight test. And when you go to space, we carry no doctors, no food, because we know the soul of the man is the repairer of the man. And we'll see what other things will come up and how things will shake. And as it takes shape, we share. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Cash. We have 2 questions in the Q&A, and we have a hand up with Salamia. Let's start with one of the questions in the Q&A from Saeed. Saeed, I think it is.
Yeah.
Hello, Professor.
Iranian. Yeah. Hello. Can you read again? I missed the question.
Yes, it's hello, Professor Kesh. I have a question about the movement of an object in a spaceship. Only the soul move in this movement, like when we are asleep, or does the body go to a new place with it?
At the moment, we see the body is with us. And we are developing a new system. As I explained before, we had a gentleman last week which went to the moon. We put him in again to different systems. What we saw him physically, we even gave him a glass. We see him, he's picking up stones from the moon and puts them in the glass. We see him doing it. We asked him to put it on the floor to see if we get a conversion. And we realize the field distribution in our systems has a flow in it for conversion. So now what we are doing is we are creating a system like this, which carries gravitational field of, let's say, the moon and gravitational field of the earth. And they can put things when they're in a unit, if they get a stone on the moon, to bring it in and drop it in this box. And here, because the two prevails, we should be able theoretically to pick up the stones. If you remember, I don't know where I was here or the other talks, we put the stones on the conversion material, but now we see what we have to do. It's a new system. It takes us a couple of months to literally physically develop it in a way of the presence point where you pick up gravitational, the destination gravitational. So you can pick up a screwdriver on Earth and deliver it to moon gravitational system going through the transition. And this is something which we have sorted out in a vertical system. Now in the open space system, we have to create it in a different form, but in principle it's the same. And yesterday with one of our participants, if you come in, you'll see it. If you keep it there, we have brought a box of bolts and nuts and spanners with us into the room. We have brought scents into the room. We want to know if your soul can smell the scent, or the people who go through that process, if they tell us they smell something. For the first time, we had somebody yesterday saying he could smell something. And he knew the smell because it was the smell of his own people. this was very strange for me. He said he knew the smell because that was the smell of his people. He knew their presence by their smell, but he didn't see them. And some of these are there for you to see. It's a beautiful, beautiful time to learn and to enjoy. I wish some of the knowledge seekers who've been with us for years would have been there and they could take this banner and take it further, as I cannot be there all the time. I literally stand on my feet nearly 10, 12 hours solid. And as I call it, job 64, 65 is not easy, but it has to be done. And it just gives you energy. I hardly sit the whole day from the time we start to go, because it's continuous observation. And we need the old people, knowledge seekers who are not physical so much, to come in and to observe and write about this, because everybody writes about their history, what happened. In the brochure, we have brought one of our full-time staff from the lab into the exhibition, and we start literally writing all the people's memory into the archives. That we want to know who did the flight. We can call in the next few weeks, most probably one day, those who went through the flight, went to the moon, we invite them to come together in one day. And we want to see what's the extent of it. Those who went to see their family, we want to see the extent of it. We invite you back in. When we invite you, as I said, here is a gift from the foundation. And then we take the process to the next step and next step. It's very interesting, and we try to learn more and more, much, much more. We expect to see a lot with the Italians. They will know it. It's not that we're going to do this and that. We want to see interaction of what is important for us in this group, what I call interactions, is going back to the basic of physics. And if you take this room to be what I call Rick's magnet table, if you remember Rick putting so many magnets on the table and putting something and see how they move, to us in this room is very interesting to see the soul of the man. Never been done before. Because don't forget, this is the same as, you remember your, what I call CO2 boxes. When you put a nanomaterial in the box, this is not the environment anymore, normal, because fields of the nano-coated now is magnetical. With having the systems in this building, now we have created that field position. We want to see how the souls interact. If the souls fall in love, if the souls find position and respect for each other, maybe they had a discussion from Milano or Rome to Vienna and on the train to Linz, how this change. We want to see when we change these magnets to the soul of the man, how does the soul react in this room? This is important for us and for the psychologists who work with us in the future to see how people will behave in a deeper space in respect to collection soul traveling. Don't forget, we've done this test. We have brought 4 people, 4 members of one family, 4 members of 2 of one family and the strangers, and we have seen the reaction. We have seen in the family how one person is a sucker, taker, and the soul has come. Soul does not agree, but the physicality does. And I knew it from the minute we went in. And I told our people, we're going to have a problem. Because we see the soul. I want to see how the plasma of the soul of the people interact in this environment. This is completion of what we call the process. Then, as I said, maybe in a few months' time, you go to LENS, to go to Mars, to Moon, where we create the atmosphere and the condition. And we can replicate this around the world. Any other question? If you thought you had an exciting time now with macros and gases, you haven't seen what's about to come.
We had a question in YouTube. So do all galactic people and UFO and aliens use the same concept to space travel?
No, they haven't matured to this point yet. They still travel with containment. When you go to the moon, are you in a UFO? None of our people report to be in a machine. One guy said I was in a bubble, but none even wear clothing on the moon now. You hear a voice recording of today that one of the first guys went in. He explains how the sand of the moon went through his fingers. People explain to you how they feel the liquid of the other planets. Very strange thing is building up. This room is a standard room, but it's strange enough with family members, the youngest one always feel cold in the systems. We even had to go and get a jumper yesterday. And it's very interesting how our physicality reacts. But we'll see. We'll see how things take shape, because there's a record of it made. And we'll see the next step.
Okay, we have a couple of hands up here, or we did until one just dropped. Oh, it's back again. Salamia, would you like to go first? And then Dimitri also has a hand up.
Yes, Rick, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Hi, Mr. Keshe. Congratulations. I'm so happy that you achieve all what you had in your vision from your heart, from your soul. And thank you, because you brought to humanity this nice gift of humanity to be able to see their own soul flying and be able to reach any parts of the universe, because our soul expand and can be instantly everywhere. Now my question is related to what I experienced last night. Usually when I'm flying, I'm seeing people around me, but never seeing me. And last night I see myself, but not the physicality. I have seen nice, very beautiful colors I never see in reality, like a rainbow, and me only one white light and flying. And I would like to ask you, what is the meaning when you see yourself flying? You go with your soul of man, or you go with soul of man and physicality, both?
What we've seen and what is going to happen in Keshe Foundation, I think we should already be back in the lab by now. We asked for it. We asked for a camera, not a digital, or we can get the mechanical cameras, the old ones with no batteries and electronics in it. And for our passengers to take pictures of themselves. Nobody up to now has told us they've seen themselves. They're aware of the energy of themselves. They're aware of the light. They're aware of the colors, the souls. They come in touch with some of them. But we have not seen There is one guy who went to the moon. He can see his hand physically, but generally people speak about the light. They're aware of the others as an energy field, especially when we put them together to fly. All of them. Especially the captain being responsible. You ask the passengers, oh, they can't remember. Yesterday was the first time we knew the wife was with the husband, and the both saw the same thing as the first time. We have to expand on this experience. But the captain, when he speaks, it speaks about taking them. If you listen to the first or second session, I think one or two people refer to it, they're taking the other souls with them because he's responsible. In a way, like a captain on a plane, the guy goes, the people in the back, and each one is traveling, dreaming, or thinking about what they want to do, go where they go, even though the captain is going in the same direction to land in the same spot. And we see that now with souls, with the travel, the expansion of the souls. We see it now. The captain is responsible. He or she takes full responsibility for taking in the soul. And it's amazing how they do it instantaneously. So we are aware that I took them there or I took them there. But the passengers, oh, they've never seen anything. They don't remember. They went their own thinking as they were in the back passenger sitting on the whatever seats in the craft. We see this now. And as I said, we need about 1,000. And then we can do maximum 10, 20 people, 10, 20 a week. It takes a lot. It's not just going in the system, it's preparing to go in the system, going through the system, and then what I call going to process, explain to us. Because a lot of them we see, they say they're still digesting the information. They still are in there. They come out, but the body is left, or the soul still needs to digest. And it's good to see, to build up the information, and it's the responsibility. It was very strange and amazing. I don't know if you remember, one of the members of the people who came in last week, he was so overwhelmed and everything, and he just left. And he came this week back himself, and he brought the audio recording of it because it was so overwhelming, he couldn't do that and that. We like to know in a few weeks' time your experiences, because the strange thing with this technology, and when you go through SEP, life begins from the time you leave the studio, the what do you call the enhancement center. Your new life starts from there, not you being there and going through the process. We will invite you. We'll run a Zoom session with the knowledge seekers who've been, and in a few weeks' time, on a Thursday, for all of you to explain to us what happened to you from the time you left. Most of you say nothing because you think it was a normal thing, something happened. And some of you might explain how it changed, because it's important for us. When we take you there, to go with us to travel, become travelers in space, what happened? Would you like to go back? Would you like to come home? And we'll gather more information. Did you meet the souls? Has it become frequent in what you were? Now you go through more stages of what you had inside the system because you've been through the process. But the strangest thing will come when we create enough numbers that these souls start interacting across the planet. Then I explain to you about the satellite. We are sowing the seed of peace through the soul of the man, and you will all answer to the call when it happens. It's the story of Einstein. You turn one atom, and the other atom changes. We are seeding the structure of that atom. Any other question?
Let's hear from Dimitri next. Go ahead, Dimitri.
Thanks.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello. I've got two questions for you, Mr. Kesh. My first question is,
Where are you from?
how is these come from England, Britain,
Yeah.
Great Britain, apparently? These systems, how are they? I mean, you kind of answered it in what you just said with the atoms, but maybe you could explain it in a little bit more detail, how these systems are directly contributing to the end of war.
We had one gentleman who sat with Putin. We had one gentleman who sat with and gave to the soul of the German chancellors. A lot of the information we don't put out, but we see it's coming in. And we have people who go in to extend what they call it, the knowledge of the knowledge seekers, and they give to the knowledge seekers for all to raise the knowledge of the peace of mother. We have to complete our system. This system has taken over more or less as we see it with the knowledge gain, solid 4 years to be developed to where it is now, and now even in them we see need for changes. And I think in about a month or so we are ready to go, and then we start our process. And we'll explain how we start our process when the time comes. The process of peace is not just by war leaders, it will come to its citizens. And citizens will change their leaders.
So my second question is, over the last couple of weeks, I feel that you've indicated there is like a timeline, yeah, and
there is no timeline.
We
We created a
quickly.
We create for our system. Yes, there is a timeline, because we can go on for months and years to keep on developing. We put a timeline that we don't. You've seen it. We showed these units in design center nearly 2 years ago. These white units, what we call BISO, so whatever you call it, arrived May, June of 2 years ago. I remember when they were testing it in the labs, building the wiring, the circuit. And from that point to this point has taken 2 years. And we're still seeing room for development, massive room for development. So, and we kept on going, developing 2 years. I was, oh, they're not doing anything. He just promised it. But we had to go to the point that a new technology was developed completely. And we came to this point now. We're still developing and adding, as you don't see it because it's all hidden inside. And there's a new development which we see after next couple of weeks or whatever that we can do. In the past, we had a huge problem. Past 2 years, we had the design, something, and then something had to be made, and then we have our people, 1 or 2 people had to make it. Now the Keshe Foundation has a manufacturing base. We have a production base. Last week, we wanted new reactors. Before it would have taken us weeks, Klaus just tells the factory, this is what we need. By Monday morning, the reactors are all made, ready, we're in. Our response time has changed. Our team know more or less what is the next what we have to do. And now, so it's not then waiting to design. Even in the middle of the testing, we've done it in past couple of weeks, we realized we need something to be changed. And literally while the test is going, In the factory, they change. They design, they finish a new one for the next time. You don't see these things. If you came last week, in the design of the system, we literally needed one of the React systems, we needed to change. You don't realize it, but for example, we realized when we made the system, we designed the system, we have 2 chairs, and there was one entrance here. We had people, all sorts of problems to get, because it looks, if you come in today, you will see the systems will overnight have 2 entries directly to in front of each chair. And then other reactors have been added or taken out because of what people tell us. We see where the faults are. We're still developing. It's not anymore for us to, do it and go back and come in weeks. Literally now we have a backup system, backup team, a beautiful backup team. None of them knowledge seekers, but they understand the technology. And while you are sitting in the test, you're actually making new reactors for the next cycle. And evolution will be very, very fast. Keshe Foundation doesn't spend a single cent wasted. We've never done, we'll never do. And everything you gave us with trust has been used by trust. To set up this production line and train the people has taken a long time for Klaus and the people who come into the management of it. We bring in workers, which the workers through experiment and work become knowledge seekers. And it's beautiful. I was discussing it with a couple of people recently this week. They see, they do, they understand, and they become better than our knowledge seekers who became knowledge seekers and then they want to do something. We are creating knowledge seekers with the knowledge of their own handwork and very instantaneously. And classes have spent relentless time trying to establish this. Keshe Foundation Austria is a solid-based manufacturing ethical organization. An instantaneous response, and it's taken years to build it. We are a research and development. We are not profit making. We don't look for profit. We look to bring, and you go into these systems, a mother who lost a child at 6 months and year for 10 years to know what happened. She explains it, you see it today, most probably in the testimonial, and sees the soul of the daughter, 6-month daughter she lost by death 10 years ago, and brings her peace. That's our payment. That's where we make the profit. That's
Thank
what the
you.
Keshe Foundation is. Thank you very much. Keshe Foundation will never make profit. It's impossibilities because we put everything back in. And those who want to steal it will cry for what they've done. We take their souls to themselves. Any other question?
That's a question from Alexandra. This is through Raphael from the Brazilian community. Mr. Keshe, we are education professionals and we work with children and we see daily and increasingly stronger, excuse me, the dominance of garbage content controlling the wills and formation of many children. Children are becoming slaves to the media and the internet. Many parents and caregivers of these children are unprepared and report not knowing how to help these children, their own children. Question, thinking about the enhancement units and what is to come, how can we help and prepare our children to elevate their beautiful childlike souls?
This has been a question for a long time for us, and I discussed this one with the Chinese authorities some time ago. And we have 2 processes. to educate our children with the knowledge of the present time and everything else which comes with it, or start teaching from the beginning. We have a beautiful lady, Greek, who with the knowledge team we set up, she's done the basic teaching for children from age to age to become, she works with us, what do you call it, Greece education structure of government. And I didn't have time to do it, but they're still working in the background, some of them, that we bring a new education from the beginning. Children have to learn about the matter state. That's the beauty of being a human. And children then have to understand the work at the same time simultaneously with the solar state and the energies of the universe. Then yes, we can bring the change. Yes, then we can see the change in how we can teach them. It's very, very, very difficult, extremely difficult to enter this zone unprepared. And we are not prepared for it because we are in a time of the transition between the two. And it just needs time. None of us 40 years ago knew how to use the mobile phone or the computers the way they are today. We learned it because it became available. Now the new knowledge has to become available, and then we learn it. And we see. And we have to find out how we can change this as a collectively, in a community, in a society together. It won't happen with one nation. It is something we have to collectively program it. Children need to have that computer game. Children need to have everything else, not just because we didn't have it, they're a sport. Children, because of computer games, are becoming more and more intellectually aware of a lot of things. It's not all bad, but we have to learn how we can incorporate the two together. It's our job. And then how they use it or how they use it. To what extent we will have the possibilities of extending that knowledge. We got to use both of it and make a best of both, because we spend hundreds of thousands of years to get to this point of intellect and understanding. And just to say everything is wrong with it, with all part of it, is ignorance. We have to see what is the best and what is collectively can be mixed between the old and new. We're working on the education side in the background in different ways, and we'll see what comes up. But yes, there is a problem in society today. We all have children and grandchildren, and we see how they have evolved. Nowadays, children can see the parents put it in front of them. What do you do nowadays? Mobile phone. Oh, let's watch a cartoon. You give the phone, you introduce your child to the new technology. You just look at the cartoon, but what about the technology? And then she wants to see another one. What's next? And then the games. By age of 2.5, 3, I've seen children are much more intelligent in so many things than their parents and the grandparents, because they open their eyes. What do we do? How many of you have picked up a book nowadays to read for the children? And how many of you have brought that book in the new videos, which is on there? It is not a solid picture. The cow, she sees a cow moves, makes a noise, and she can relate to it because it's an emotion. We change. We brought the change to them, but we haven't lost control. We have not managed to adjust ourselves and the society to use it, and some abuse it. So we have to mix the two together. It's not that they've gone everything wrong. Yes, they've gone wrong because the parents allow it to go wrong. But we have to teach the parents, not the children. This is the biggest problem. I've said that many, many times. We go to school, they teach us everything to earn a good money and become doctors. But in our process of teaching from the year one, they don't teach us how to become parents, how to behave as when we grow up, to have a good degree, good job, but the good parents. They don't do that. It's just you pay, you go in, you sit in class, they teach you ABC and how what comes, what color mixes with what becomes. But is any school teaches a child how to be when they grow up an adult? The only thing they force themselves to, in countries like England and Holland, at the age of 13, they show them sex education because they got fed up of 12, 13, 11-year-old being pregnant in the school, sitting with the babies with the class with the teacher. If our education system teaches our children, this is this, and when you become a parent, this is how it should be, the child from the seed knows this is the knowledge which has to carry. We do it wrong, and then we blame the society for it because we were never trained. We are the cause of the miseducation of our children, nobody else. And then we blame the society for it. Any other question?
We have a good question from Antonio, who says, Mr. Kesh, to travel is exciting to me, but here on this planet, could I, when entering the flight system, go to, say, Afghanistan and through my soul feed those who are starving? Antonio.
You can do. You can do this. It's not a dream, it's a reality. We've done this in a couple of tests this week without knowledge seekers knowing, going through the test. Yes, it's a possibility. But you feel the soul. You feed the soul of the person, not physical food. I mean, there you can go, sit in house when you have a sack of potatoes and go there and give them potatoes, but step up to the new understanding and go through. You can feed them. It can be done because a couple of cases we had, and we are following how to trigger this position with people. At the moment, we are like the Wild West. You know, people went to America and they went everywhere to see what it is, where it is. And then when they settle down, they start making the cities and whatever villages and the rest of it. At the moment, in the past 2 weeks, we are in that Wild West situation. Everybody's going everywhere to see what they can find. But gradually, collectively, when more and more knowledge seekers come, they will organize themselves how to do vertical literacy. It's quite feasible, possible. We have an earthquake in such and such a place, and all of you are waiting to gather rescue, find a plane, get the money for the fuel, and gather people's food. By the time you get there, it's 3-4 days after the earthquake, and half of the people have died underneath because of the hunger or cold. Now you do instantaneously, you feed their soul. We know it's correct because we see now people traveling to the moon instantaneously. We see them how they do and how they interact. Just 1 second, please. So we have to understand it's not anymore dream because the systems are made. It's not done by somebody, my soul going to feed. In the coming time, many of you who've been through the system, once it's completed, you feel you want to go to help, all of you together will go and help. You feel you're in Mexico, New Zealand, or wherever, you want to go together for a party on the moon, you all get go in instantaneously and they'll be there. Make sure you go with the right girlfriend, not the wrong one. This is the beauty of the new science. And yes, it can be. I told you yesterday, we had a guy, we gave him nuts and bolts to see what he can do with it. But he didn't go anywhere to do anything with it because his was a different target. It's something you always done, but now you bring both dimension of the physicality. This is what I explained, if you understand, for a couple of years, a few years, to transmute between the soul and the physicality. And on the way, don't lose the bottle of wine. And then if you don't cut out, oh, it was a dream. Now we are teaching how to bring that bottle of wine, or the emotion of the bottle of wine. And this is the process the new systems are setting up to do. It's very interesting what is to come. And as I said, we got a glass of water, spanner, screws, and everything there to see who can take across, who can bring it back. And we need to adjust our system. Systems next week will be adjusted for transmutation. Today we haven't set that. We have full control over transmutation, and next week we set system for transmutation from one system to another. It's not something we're going to develop, it's preset in design, but we have to see everything working, that when we send the cup, half of the cup doesn't turn up and the other half is still as energy in the other part. We're ready to test. But we have to get everything perfect.
Mr. Keshdan asks, how can the system memorize the information of a nation through a single soul? Is what Barbu added to the unit the same as what I have as a genetic inheritance, or that of my ancestors?
No, we are all different. We're all. I wish somehow we didn't get Barbu. Barbu came in and he went through the system like a bullet. He was not there to enjoy. He was there just to be there and go through and done. And as I said to the other people, you come in, take your time. I made time for you. You have to make time for yourself. Yesterday we had a couple. It was a strange situation yesterday. When the husband moved, the wife moved. She went from when he went to C2, she went to. He went to C2, he went inside the car, he went inside. He went there, she went there. Hello. And then she came out and says, oh, Madame, you didn't know you were there just because he asked you to come. We see it. And then he came out and he had the experience of what he wanted to experience. You have to take your time. And then you leave the right fingerprint. We have the Universal Council for Malta coming through the system. And Maltese soul, he's a original Maltese. Maltese soul are our passage to Christ. They saw Christ live with them through his transportation from Palestine to Spain. And I'm hoping with him and his family going through the system, we will might be able to see an insight into the past. These are key islands. This is why Keshe Foundation headquarters will move to Malta in the coming time. And this is what we need to have to understand more of, to understand exactly why and how we have gone through the process of evolution of what called the soul of the man.
Yes, we have a couple of hands up here with Miranaz and Dan Lowe and then Azar.
Hello, good day to everybody, to Mr. Cash. I'm very glad, Mr. Cash, that I feel you're excited with all these enhancement experiences. So that's very good. And I have a question. Maybe it's not a place, but I ask you. I had a maybe non-important experience, but I tell you to see what it was. About 6-7 weeks ago, it was 4:30 at night, and I went to my balcony, my terrace, to see the sky. I love the stars. I send them kisses, and I really love them. And it was maybe 3-4 stars, and there is always one in my right part of the sky, which is more shiny. So I started just instantly talking about my worry about the actions of my mom, the actions of myself. If somehow maybe what I say might hurt somebody without my intention. And then I was talking like that without any. All of a sudden, I saw a light, like 10 centimeter diameter, just 20 centimeters by my measure under the star, a big light, shiny, silvery shiny. And at first I was shocked because I've never seen something like that in the sky. And after a small pause, it went quickly to the left side and disappeared. I just stayed to analyze what it is. And then I said, whatever it is, I tried to do my experience again to see if it happened. So I tried to put me in my position talking to Star, and then didn't work. I went to sleep. So in the morning, I was told that if it's a meteorite, it's the stones which come to the earth and they explode in the atmosphere. And then I thought it was like a woman. To me, it was like a person in the star and seeing me down there. And just by fun, there are small stones with the fingers, like we were child, we were playing with stones with our fingers. He throws a small stone, she throws a small stone, and then it becomes maybe meteorite. I've never seen meteorite like that. Normally I see small thing very far, but this one was so bright in the whole sky. So I wanted to see if it was meteorite. How come it was just in front of me? I mean, it was in my sight. If it was something
Can I
else,
say to you something, Maharaja?
yes.
We were not there. We don't know.
Yeah, that I knew you were saying that.
We were
Okay.
not there. It's June now. About 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago, I said this before. I do this as a pleasure to the people I love. Don't do it for anyone. I'll tell you, if you want to see a meteorite, not create a meteorite, you see it. A number of people see it. We were in South China Sea with knowledge seekers, and we were walking on the beach. They were ahead of me, and I was walking in the back. And I said, I would love them to see 10 stars. They turned around and says, oh, it'd be nice to see a meteorite. And I said, you watch, I wish 10 of them for you. And they're here amongst the knowledge seekers. They're listening. They know who they are. And as we walked, we counted 9. Or they counted 9 meteorites. 4 of us seeing it. And the 10th one was the next afternoon, a huge one over South China Sea. They saw it, we also. It's the wish and making of it which counts. And we have knowledge because I tell them, you can see one. And I make a second one, you can see the second one, which is the impossibility of two meteorites moving in opposite directions from two directions coming in. And the knowledge with me, one or two see you, the others don't see. This is a pleasure I give to the people who I love. And sometimes that love is misplaced. And you can do it. You can create a vision through the interaction of the soul. We are masters in these things, and we can do it. And we're not there to see the trillions and trillions of stardust in solar system. Yeah, something you have to understand. The stardust we see entering Earth atmosphere, majority of it is made by Earth itself in interaction of the fields with the solar system. What happens, and some get created the same as Earth within the, what we call it, atmosphere of the solar system. They don't come from outside. You have the sun and you have the Earth and you have the other planetary system. When the fields come, if somewhere gravitational magnetic inertia fields of a copper is done, these fields of the universe at this point change to copper stone. Doesn't come. How does it created in the universe? If the fields come here and the Earth fields interact, gravitational field, magnetic field at this point is of, let's say, silica. Is created by the inertia, and then it enters the Earth as a matter entity. Does not convert to inertia according to this by the strength inertia of the Earth. So meteorites can be produced anywhere. It's produced by this 90% of the meteorites we see, 95%, is from the solar system reduction of the strength of the rays of the sun itself. It's not just Earth, which has a gravity and the inertia on the upper part. Every layers of the fields in the universe or in our solar system can have the inertia of the copper. And that field of the sun here will continuously convert into copper. And then now you have a new meteorite. Meteorite doesn't come from the explosion of the stars and planets and whatever. It is our own fields. A bigger version of it is Earth. That's how planetary system and other systems created. We have 3 or 4 moons in the solar system, which are actually meteorite interaction and have become part of the moon because they feel the strength of their center matches.
Yes, thank you. And also, I thought when you were in Italy in the beach after Fabio blessed this, so you created something you showed to people, you know.
We saw the light, or what we call the formation of the fields in the sky. And then we saw the same thing in Brazil when we landed.
So is it? Yeah.
We can, those two are, we are messengers of the Creator. We live in the body of the man. We have a lot of capabilities and knowledge to do things. But in the depth of our travel, we have made many friends. And those friends are always with us. When I spoke, and we saw it over the airport, going to the hotel in Brasilia, and the week when we spoke in the lab in Bari, and then seeing it next few days. It's just that they just come to confirm what you thought to the humans we want to show them. It's very much the way the relationship goes between my work and the Iranian defense technology in space. In the past 3 weeks, with the heinous crimes of some nations, 4 of the leading Iranian space scientists have been murdered. 2 by poison, the way they tried to kill me, and 2 by the accident, the way it was set up to kill me before. And it's strange enough, these all started from the week we started to show the space technology in Blitz. These criminal nations never touched Iranian space specialists. We lost 4 by murder. And on my soul will take and we show that the end of the nations has come. You touch the scientists, we take your soul. And we take the soul of the nation. Because it's a nation who allows this to happen. And it's very, very strange. Iran has lost some of its leading space scientists, very young doctors in their early 30s. Since Keshe Foundation has started showing the space technology in Linz. Never ever a space scientists have been murdered, except in China, in the hand of the Belgians, 4 or 5 years ago. We understand, and we have to bring the knowledge to be understood by many. What would be nice is how well we become and we are aware of what is happening around us. When we see these conditions, when we see these interactions, it changes a lot of things for us. It changes a lot of understanding. It changes understanding of how far mankind can go in space development and how much man is ready to face the future. And since when having the space knowledge is a criminal offense? Unless you are a criminal. And the punishment for it is to separate the soul and leave it in the old rooms of what we call the space. Even the physicality exists. Exile of the soul is the worst condition a man can create for his soul. And we see it. And we see more of it, how it operates in the coming time. My deeper condolences to the Iranian families for their sons as a space scientist have been murdered in the past 2 weeks. Because frontiers of knowledge has to belong to all of us, not exclusively of some nations. And this is what we do in NITS. We invite the Iranians, the Italians, the French, the Germans, the Americans, and everybody else to come in and taste the new space technology. And we don't kill you for it. But your nations do. Up to now, they kill nuclear physicists. Now they kill plasma nuclear physicists, space specialists of Iran, which is a part of the Keshvar mission technology. Those who understood more. Any other question?
Well, we did a kind of a relevant question from Hassan on any update on bringing in the souls of Ayatollah Khamenei and Nasrallah, General Secretary of Hezbollah, sending so many youngsters for suicide missions and calling it martyrdom.
The stupidity doesn't finish with one or the other. Some is done by the governments and some done by the religious leaders. Does not stop. That means there's a time for it to change. We are waiting for a number of souls to arrive in the center, and then we know what to do with it. We invite the, what I call, UNESCO Council member for Hebrew language to NITS. And with it will change the whole structure within the nation. You will see. The new Universal Council for Farsi language will be with us in a very short time. Then it's time for us to reach the union leaders. Any other question? It was very interesting. One of our knowledge seekers, when he came, 2 or 3 we had up to now. As we are at the moment under the flood of the Germans coming in, 2 or 3 Germans, when they come out of the system, they tell us, I think in one of the recordings you heard as well in one of them, that they gave from their souls to raise their soul of the German nation. And we'll see the changes which come because of it. And we have to wait and see what comes in. You have to be of the same understanding to be able to create the condition. Any other question?
We have 2 hands up here, Dan Lowe and then Azar.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, where are
Yes.
you from, please?
From Brazil. So, I had a dream some days ago that I was in another planet with a very big palace, and it was like a funeral, but at the same time it was a party. celebration.
Oh, you must
And
live in
I-
Africa or in Jamaica.
Yeah.
That's tradition.
And the king of this place, he was a cat, a kitty cat. And my question is the animals or entities on this planet Earth, are they beings from other planets? And is this possible, or they are both living there and here? And I just asking this because of my dream. Thank you very much, Mr. Cash.
We had a guy yesterday who went through the system. He went, I said, did you go out? He says, no, I didn't fly. I was on Earth. But I was with different animals, not the ones we have. We asked him, what kind of animals were you with? They were from the past. So his soul in the past has been in touch with dinosaurs. So he couldn't explain. We didn't go too far with it because he could explain to us. He was on Earth. He didn't go anywhere. So I didn't travel. I was on Earth. I went in the jungles and I saw animals. I asked him, did you touch any of them? He says, no. But they were the animals of the past. They were not the animals we know today. And as I said, as you come, you bring this soul. What we see always being with us has been one of the original souls when the man was on this planet originally. Because it's a connection of the souls, of the souls which made him. So they have been with the dinosaurs. And it was, I stood there and I thought, wow. And we will see, as I said, you come in, you add into it. This information is within the structure of the, what we call reactors. We'll see what comes next. It'll be interesting when you bring your cats and dogs, how they will react with you and what imprint of knowledge they bring for us. It's not fairy tale anymore, it's there. And we see more and more of it. We have a problem at the moment, as I said, we are developing, we have to keep on changing things. We switch the systems off. So the memory stays, but the system always works. We can electronically, we stop it, what do you call it, plasma-wise, it never stops. It's like we put the person in the sleep in bed, but the brain still works. We have that situation. And when we start running what we call our field detectors, which are built in, they were placed in yesterday, then we see the actual effect on the work of the thing. The systems start building up. At the moment we deplete them because we have to reset, do things, change things. But when we come to the stable condition, maybe 2 to 3, 4 weeks time, then system will run. You come in, you're already in plasma. As I said, you're already jumping in a couple of sugar. You don't need to add sugar into it. The added sugar is your soul. What you bring this. Any other question? We're going to get Azar now. Good morning, Azar.
Good morning, Mr. Cash. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Cash,
Yes,
is it a possibility if knowledge seekers go to the unit, and if they are sincere and they have the capability to be able to pull the whole planet in one go and elevate everybody?
The knowledge seekers already tried. We know a few people have already tried.
But
to raise the love of the humanity, the whole planet. We have some beautiful knowledge seekers, Azar. If you were there and listen to them when they come out, you want to just sit and just marvel the creation, what is coming out of this room. I tell them sometimes it's time for integration. What do you call it? I want to understand. I want to interrogate you. because I want to know. And we call it interrogation system book corner. We just park them in one place. We don't let people come out and go and talk to anyone. Because when they start talking, it dilutes things. Even the couples come out, we keep them separate till we speak to them, we see what we want. And then we usually let them loose in the hand of Dean to record it if they want to be recorded. And then they talk to each other. And when they talk to each other, they come up with more things they didn't tell us. We hear afterwards.
Mr. Kesh, when you talk about the Iranian scientists who were just killed by global nation or people, there was I just read something that Gandhi said, which I didn't understand the meaning of it. He said, in his lifetime, in the midst of the destruction that people see, there's a life that is continuously going, which they cannot see. And life, it finds a way to go. So when these people kill because they want to prevent of something happen, or they don't want anything good to happen, does this really mean?
Let me explain to you. I want you to touch on something which we have to understand. One of you just asked the question, what about Ayatollah Khamenei and what do you call it, Hamas or whatever, that they send people with a bomb? What about world leaders who send poison to kill people? The same terrorist. You're glorified because it's Iranian nuclear physicist or the Korean or whatever, but they demonize it because it's a nation. They're the same terrorists. Whoever gave the instruction for the Iranian scientists to be killed is the same terrorists as Hamas or Ayatollah Khamenei. There's no difference. They're murderers. And it hurts the same. You still kill people. I had the privilege to be with the Chinese military and defense. And got to know how the Europeans are killing Chinese scientists. The privilege was that I could tell them how they do it, and we stopped it. I went through a closed sessions, high-level security. This is why the Chinese trust in Keshe Foundation. I gave the same advice to the Iranian leadership to protect our scientists. But the man who puts a strap bombs on it, the man who gives a poison to twin brothers, Americans, who made the first high water engine and killed one of them on the table, again done by two government presidents on the table. Those who go and do act of terrorism, they're all terrorists by the leaders. And those who make the threat to kill and to destroy, they're terrorists too. And they pay for it. What is glorified and one demonized, but both are demonized by their own soul. This is what it is. This is how it works. Whoever gave order for killing an Iranian scientist or the Chinese scientist or American scientist is the same terrorist as the one who gives a bomb belted or whatever to the others to do. Both heinous crime. And the leader who does that, he pays for it. It's not that you see him. Ask about his children, how they suffer. Ask about his other lives, how he's paying for it. Those who make threats will stand by their own threats and they pay to their own threats. And those who carry out the threats will do the same. But to me, you call Hamas or Iranian leaders sending time bombers had the next name to it. Biden office, the Russian leadership, and the others. It's all terrorism. Just because they don't glorify it, they demonize it, the same, the children suffer of them who were killed, the parents suffer of those children, the brothers and sisters suffer of them who were killed. Doesn't matter if it's the Universal Council for Italy or Universal Council for French or the American or the Union. This is the pattern of the work and the media which we are in. The Iranian nation is bleeding for loss of some of the top scientists in past worlds. Does anybody of you know? Glorified murder, terrorism by Western nations in Iraq. Pure act of terrorism. The same with Ayatollah Khamenei and the Palestinian leaders when they send other people, their leaders or people they appointed plan these things anywhere else. The Jewish blood, the Palestinian blood is still red and it carries a lot of love. There is no justification for any of them to be demolished.
Mr. Kesh, my last question is, you say the system you have in Linz is a live system. So like the way I was born and I just encounter different people, different environment, I get mature. Is the system, as people go in, it gets more mature?
I haven't seen it getting fat, but maturity, adding knowledge to, yes. It'll be very, very interesting to see what the Italians do next week. Very, very interesting. You got to understand, Italians are made of some 200 nations and tribes of this planet. You people go to Italy to see Italians. We were given a talk about Italy. Where were the Italians 1 centuries ago? They brought some of the people of that nation to be inside them. And the present nation of Italy is a mixture of 200 tribes and nations of the Western Europe. And let's see what they bring us.
Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
Thank you very much. Any other question? Shall we call it a day?
Yes, there's several more in the Q&A. There's one maybe you can answer, Mr. Kesh, regarding the after booking a flight. Freed had a question. After booking a flight, how long do you take to confirm it? Says we booked and paid on Sunday evening and have no confirmation yet.
Oh, we brought one extra hand to get this sorted. The way is done up to now, we are fully booked into June. July is coming up and I don't think anybody will get in before July. And it's just that sorting it out, we had a weakness in our structure. One of our staff was not doing what it was supposed to do. No, he was too busy with the other parts of the foundation work. Now we brought staff from the, what do you call it, head office into the lanes to get this, what we call out. But if you haven't received an answer, you just got to wait till the backlog is clear. We know what we're doing. After 1st of July, I'm not in the center, so you'll be dealt with the, what do you call it, our team there. And what you call, just wait till a few more days, you get that, you get the answer. It's more or less, we're trying to organize a lot of things in groups, and this is taking a lot of our space time because Italians booked 3 days and they moved it. And then they made it to 4 days and they moved one of the days again. So whatever we could tell people to come in, now they would have the block. Now we saw that the Italians are not going anywhere. They're taking the 4 days they've been given. That, and then the Germans went in and they blocked days into it. And we have to accommodate those with the Italians. The only day we got left more or less to play, I think, is 22nd, what is fully booked. And then it goes into there on. And we are into July, August, and thereon. Book as fast as you can because in September we stop. 90% in September we stop. So whether we get up to there, and then we go back into development. We have to develop the structures. One is for the, what we call mobile systems. One is for the international, what we call direct flights from A to B. And this all needs to be completely developed and processed. But by September, most probably we stop the whole process because we get enough data what we want to do and perfect the flight system. Don't put time on it. I know because it's not easy. It's not an easy job because we run an exhibition. On top of the exhibition, there is 15 people on Saturday, I was told, tomorrow, or this Saturday, going into the exhibition, pre-booked. We don't let anybody who's not, doesn't matter who you are in. And it goes through that process. You should hear something in next day or two. Just finding when we sorted out. The Italians caused us huge problem. They came with 5 and 10, and now we have a team of 20 getting booked in by one doctor. We have other people who are booking, block booking, and all this has to be fitted in. This is all getting done, and we have a team from Middle East coming in, and we have people of different, what do you call, officials who come in out of time, which I sometimes go during the evening, nighttime, for what we call diplomatic, political visits, which nobody knows. We just walk in, and there's all sorts of things happening. There's a lot of just give it time. Just give it time in the next few days. You'll get a response to be allocated. We had, as I said, Italians played mayhem with us, but now we pinned them down. And the Germans did the same. We expect what do you call it, the Spanish and the Greeks to come in, Western Europeans. And it's good for you to come as a team because it gives us a lot of freedom, and secondly, translation becomes very hard because we need translators to be there, or it's very difficult. But just book your place to be given time to come. We give priority only and only to the members of Universal Council. They have what they call immediate access to the systems. Any other question?
I think you want to draw it to a close here. We've got more questions on various topics, but
what is the question? It says low battery, low. Let me switch over. What is the question? We need a couple of more questions and then we go.
Okay. Dan has a question. Why did I understand that the position of the soul of physicality is in the area of the umbilicus, or rather in the area of the pelvis or the genitals, and not in the area of the heart?
Oh, I'm
Is it
letting you.
confused, or am I confused? I think he means.
Yeah, I think you're confused. The solar physicality has a strange position. Just give me 1 second. I have to switch over systems because one is only my battery. This just 1 second. Yes, I'm here. Okay, can you repeat that, please? Rick, can you hear me?
Yes. Let me see. Dan had asked, why did I understand that the position of the soul of physicality is in the area of the umbilicus, or rather in the area of the pelvis or the
I don't know when you
genitals,
learned that one. I don't know when you learned
and
that
not
one.
in the area of the heart?
I don't know which class you went to. I didn't see that.
And then you were saying that
solar
the soul,
physicality.
yes, go ahead.
Solar physicality is a dynamic structure which covers the totality, where the soul of the man is pinpointed in a way in there. If I can explain it in a way, the soul of the man is the sun. Soul of physicality is the solar system. And the physicality is the moon, the earth, and the rest inside. And that's the best way you can describe the separation between the three. We call it the spirit. Any other question?
Okay, another one from Dan.
Can you hear it? The church is calling the man to come here. I want to rob you. Ding, ding, ding. Next question.
From Dan, what is the connection between the flight unit and all the amino acid magraphs and GANs made by knowledge seekers in the world?
Somehow, because of the field connection, they must be connected somewhere.
Okay, and what different colored lights were used in the units?
No color. What do you mean color lights? We have no color lights. First of all, we use very little light, and we use a background, very, very little light, background light of blue. Those of you who've been in it. And it's just because the system gives us the light system gives us that option, no specific reason for it.
Okay, we have a tough question here. If this is a science and knowledge, why do you always bring into the light Mithras, Moses, Jesus, the Messiah, etc.?
Because the knowledge of the ethics of the soul of the man came to that way. There is a science and ethic of science. Science is what we teach. Ethic of science, ethic of life come through those as messengers. If man would have used his soul, he never needed a prophet. Man went physical, so had to be taught what's in there. We call it the soul. Secondly, Mitra is not a prophet. Mitra is the light of the Creator. It's a big difference. If you look at the Jewish religion or the others, they speak to getting the knowledge in the mountain from the fire. That light, that fire is the soul of Mitra. Love of the Creator. Religion has nothing to do with Mitra. Mitra is the love of the Creator, sense of manifestation of it.
Well, you mentioned religion, so that's the next question from Dan, who has a number of questions here. What's the difference between Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and Zoroastrianism?
Zoroastrianism is the original religion. Came through Mitraism. And the Jewish and the Christianity, which is Jewish religion with the twist of what you call it, love in it. And Islam is a copy of the same. Muhammad learned from the Jews and he tried to bring his tribe in. Jews learned from Zoroastrians and Mitraism to create the Jewish religion. There is a difference between what Jesus or Moses or Muhammad is and what Muslims and Jews are. Very big difference. The religion we see as now is a whitewash for the benefit of those who led. The religion we see as the original teaching, not diluted teachings of Moses and Christ or Muhammad, is the message. You've got to understand how the religious, even the prophet, played the game the way it suited them in every dimension. What is a cornerstone of the Christianity? Adultery. You have to be a virgin and the rest of it. But can I ask you one question? How come Christ slept with every woman at the witch of the Palestine? He was in a wedlock officially, but no one enjoyed the beauty of the woman more than Christ. That's why they put him on the cross. The rich people of Palestine got fed up with him sleeping with their wives. They told the Romans, put him on the cross or we'll do a riot, you won't be here. And the Romans chose the easy way out, they put him on the cross. Go and read the true Jewish historical time of Christ. That was the only reason they put Christ on the cross. He enjoyed the physicality of the women, the most beautiful. He was a handsome man. And he had a message of peace and women loved him. And he loved women and sometimes he went too far. With the rich ones, they paid for him to be there to enjoy. And they couldn't take it. They paid the Romans to put him on the cross, but they started the riots, they started the revolution. You want to know the truth, or you want to know what is written in the Bible diluted away suits the party? Read the history of time of Christ, not Bible, and then you know the truth. It's not demonized. He enjoyed life to the extent they could enjoy. And women furnished him with whatever he wanted. Dark brown eyes, extremely handsome. wish of every woman. And he had the tongue and the knowledge and the love. He was literally phenomenal. The rest is made. The same with Moses. Moses, when he saw the lights, he knew the message, but he diluted very suited him. And Muhammad kept most of it and changed the things that suited him. Why did you marry 4 women in Islam? For love of God, why? Ask him. A young man in early 20s married a woman in 40s plus, Khadija. The evolution of time. And women go through menopause, still young, still desires. He had to justify the second, and then the third, and then the fourth. But he didn't change what was given to him as a message. What Moses did to suit him. Read the history, the true history, and not the diluted religious history. And then you see why and how they changed things. The time of what we would call ourselves Russian Iranians. Till the time of Muhammad had the breath, he never touched Iran. He said they already believe in God. How can I touch them to make them to believe in God? And when he died, his uncle and cousin, knowing how wealthy Iran was, they wanted to go, and he always stopped them. Muhammad never allowed the Arabs to cross Iranian borders. So they believe more deeper God than we do. And when he died, for the wealth of Iran, they invaded Iran to take the wealth. And then why do you see this extreme mixture between Iran religious culture and the Iranian nation? Because when they killed the Shah of Iran, it was on the 13th of the year. That's why in Iran we see it as a bad day, because the king was killed in the name of the religion. They follow the system of that. Then Ali, the son-in-law of Fatima, the daughter of Muhammad, knew the wishes of their father, that Iran should not be touched. They took the queen of Iran and married it to their son. And that's how the Iranian nation got mixed with the religious Iran and the Arab nation. The benefit in the name of religion for those who could take more. Uses it the same, but he did it himself, he then gave it to his cousins and uncles to do it. Read the history, not what they want to make it to. That's why Iranians are sheer fanatic with Islam, because it's coming to the blood through monarchy.
You mentioned reading a couple of times, Mr. Kesh. Where would people be able to read? Are there any books or?
Read on the internet. Go and find the original Jewish historical books. Go and find, not the Torah. Don't read the life of a nation is written in 2 parallel ways. One by the historians and one by those who want to make the history to suit. There was a lot about Mitra 15 years ago, 20 years ago on the internet. Vatican spent a fortune to get it wiped out because it became obvious that Catholicism is a fake religion, made up religion. If you look at it, Catholicism is the Roman mixture with the Christianity religion to suit. The same as now I explained to you about the Iran and Shia. That's all. Read the history and see how it got mixed up, how the rulers of Rome accommodated those who believed in Christianity because the Romans had another religion called Mithraism, and they couldn't have, they were worshipping statues and the leaders were worshipping God. And so they made the Christ and they built against it and they built what they call Catholicism. Everything in Catholic religion you read it is Mithraism, because the Romans were in charge to write it, but those they fit to suit the public that they wish they got. And this you see, so if you look at the Jewish calendar is not a calendar, it's made to suit the Jewish rabbis who control the annual things. They sit and look at when do the Muslims, because Muslims days changes every 11 days backwards in the Islamic calendar. They look at the Christians, they look at the Buddhists, and they see where there is a fit days. Your Yom Kippur fits into that day. Your other one fits into there. That does not coincide with the others. This year they got a little bit just about, but in some nations, 5th and 6th of June this year coincided just because they did everything to move it. They couldn't move it between the Jewish religion holidays in Tel Aviv, and we had some European nations having holidays. It's a made-up calendar to suit for them to be separate. The beauty of where and the way I come from, I was brought up in a Jewish Islamic family, Iranian in essence. My mother being a Jew, Jewish background, a Kohen. My father background being a Sayyid. And being brought up in the Zoroastrian school education. And love and live with the Christians in Tehran. It gave me a broad look to look at the truth of it. In Tehran, we have a school called Firuz Bahram. It is only a school run by the Zoroastrians. And I was educated through that system. And in the school, in the high school, many times we sat in the row of 4. There was one bench with 4. There was a Christian, there was a Muslim, there was a Christian, there was a Jew, and in one line or the other, there was Baha'i. We could do anything in the high school. We could talk about anything except discussion of religion, because we were brought up there to enjoy the love of being Iranian. The opposite the school was a Christian church. Few steps down was a mosque. Wall to us was a Zoroastrian temple. And you see, they talk about the same thing. No difference, but different colors. And they all talk about peace of their own way. Religious time, we have to have by law 1 hour of religion. That was the only time religion could be taught. The class is split. Muslims go taught by a mullah. Zoroastrians were taught by a religious leader. Christians went to the church to be taught by a priest. And a few Baha'is and a few Jews had a choice to be in where they wanted. You could go to the Jewish, could go to the Islamic or the Christians, but you could not stay out place. just because you are not one. And this brought a lot of harmony, about friendship. We never talked who's Jew, who's Muslim, who's Christian. It was us. And it became ethos. If you find anyone who came through the education system of Bahrain, they'll tell you, religion doesn't exist in that school, but they are all religious. This is how it should be. We are aware of each other. Some of my closest friends that we could literally live through were Armenians. In the school, we could speak each other's religious language or reading. It was a beautiful system in some classes. We used to have the mullahs, we used to teach Quran and religious books. And if you were an outsider, it means you're not a Muslim, but you're a Christian or a Jew or a Baha'i or Zoroastrian, you wanted to go in that lesson, there was a front row always empty. They didn't put you in the back of the class. You sat right in the front. And we could attend if wanted to go to see how the Christians go to church. So we go to church because it was 10 meters away from the front door of the college. This is how human race should be. I was brought up that way. And religions are always all modification of how to suit, how to do. It was a very strange situation. If some of you come from Iranian strict Muslim background, if somebody comes out and they call it najas or whatever, they wash everything in a meter by meter, 1 meter high tank, 1 meter cubic meter. If by Islamic religion, if you dip something in it so many times, it becomes cleansed. And it was very interesting to see sometimes when the Jews, their friends, they invite you to the house to come in. Ooh, the son was educated. The mother or father. And we could see sometimes when the Jewish boys with us playing somewhere to the house, what the heck was going on, what he touched, how he touched, he has to be cleansed because he was a Jew. What about Heinz? That's what I say. It was interesting time. We used to play with this. We knew what our parents do. We used to play. It's like, come for dinner tonight, or come for lunch, we go and play. And we could watch them. But what if the Jewish boy touched anything or the Baha'i boy touched anything? They used to collect it and wash it. Fanatics. It's a very interesting. But on the other hand, we ate, we loved, we enjoyed. We bought the same bowls, we shared the food. If you get a chance, get the Jewish boys to bring food to school. Oh, it's so delicious. And if you really want to eat beautiful cakes, get the Armenian boys to bring something. And we used to bring lunch, or we used to share who's going to eat what. I like this, your mom makes something like that. Religion doesn't exist except in the head of the man who's empty. I come from that mixture. It's beautiful. I had the pleasure, a very open-minded, highly developed, educated mother. And she always told us, you come from a Jewish Islamic background, but first you are Iranian and Zoroastrian, even though she's gone. She celebrated the Iranian New Year. Worse than the Muslims, worse than the Iranians. It was every Iranian celebration had to be celebrated in full. And it was the same with my grandparents that are Jews, and the same with my family, the Muslim side. We celebrated 2 years. I Professor Wolfsrecht. Any other questions?
Yes, we have a hand up here with Louis, or is it Luis Alberto? Could you go ahead there, please? Louis, did you have a question?
Brazilian, Portuguese.
I can't get.
Oi,
I can't get. Oh, hello.
Who is there?
tá me ouvindo,
Rafael.
Brasil?
Yeah. Moment. Rafael, you have to leave your fish tank.
Danilo just put a hand up. Perhaps he can help.
Hello, maybe I can help you.
Oh, there's
No,
Raphael
no,
now. There's your choice.
Me ouvindo,
You
Rafael?
guys.
Alô. Oi, Luiz, pode falar, Luiz.
Oi. Bom dia a todos. É sempre um prazer enorme ouvir as explicações, os esclarecimentos do Sr. Kesh. A minha pergunta hoje é sobre os seres verticais. Eu estava conversando com um amigo hoje e a questão foi sobre como saber aonde está o cérebro dos seres verticais. Eu não soube explicar isso.
Okay. So Luis Alberto want to make a question regarding the vertical beams. So how to know where are the brains of the vertical beams?
At the roots. Where the roots come together and stem starts.
Então, mas como na raiz? Eu sei que a alma está entre o tronco e a raiz. E o cérebro, então, seria toda a extensão da raiz. Está correto?
The brain would be the whole extension of the root itself, or just one
Yeah.
part of the root?
The whole extension of the root. If you manage to find what called the soul of a vertical, you take it out, the whole thing collapses. This is actually where most of the plants die, where that position moves. If you look at the seasonal vegetation or vertical people and the trees and the shrubs, you see that. It comes by movement,
Ok, muito grato.
change of the fields. They have the same position sort of as horizontal people. One of the hardest for scientists now will be to find the soul of a stone, the position of it. You'll be amazed. You will be amazed. If you want to see a heart, the soul of a stone, get yourself a diamond, and then you understand it very quickly. In diamond business, we call it the mother. And from that mother, the diamond is created. The diamond is a sort of physicality, the shape of a diamond. The mother is inside. You see there's a black dot. And the stone itself is a physical condition. And if you look at it, understand it, it's the same with the soul of the man. That's why we understand carbon so good, because we are made of this.
Muito
If,
interessante. Ficou claro para mim, Rafael. Grato, senhor Cash. Obrigado, Rick.
Oh, sorry. He was just saying, thank you very much. It was very clear to me. Very fascinating what you said, Sekesh. Thank you.
in the diamond business, when you get a stone, sometimes the stones are colored stones. And what you see, you get yourself a diamond. It's pink in the color. And in its color, you see it. You see a mother, you see a black spot. We cannot have a diamond without a dot in it, because it's the mother. In a way, when the carbon in a high temperature, what's what you do in nano coating and gas making, explodes, this carbon explodes to cover the environment, and then it gets cooled and it becomes shape on. But sometimes this stone, in expanding in the environment, picks up a gas through the expansion. The stone, because of this, takes the color of the stone. So the mother, the color of the stone, if there's nothing in it, you see that's clear. And the other color comes because of the impurity of gases which trapped in the time of the gas making. Then we are diamond dealers. We cut a diamond to get the best thing out of it, the best flattest space. So you cut it. But if it's a very specific color, you have to find this point. And sometimes it cannot be seen. If the diamond dealer, the diamond cutter, by mistake puts this yellow outside, what you're going to get, it's a beautiful yellow stone or a pink stone becomes white stone. And the value drops because now you don't have it. If you get it inside, then you got the color. That's how color stones, diamond stones are created. $1 million stone becomes worth 100,000. Same where and how. And if you cut the mother out, you have no problem because that has a state. In the diamond business, they try to take this out. You don't. The amount of small three small P can see in, because as the diamond expands and explodes, the carbon in the heat of the volcanic eruption, it might leave some few pieces inside. And this dictates that you have impurities. And then you have the color D and the other color Ng. It shows how much of this gas has been left inside. You get a deeper color, become dark. You try to get to the maximum, the lowest gas amount, which is it. And when you get a diamond in your hand and look at it, we call it a window. When you get the pure diamond, what do? You open a window. They do a very small cut on the surface of the stone, and they look at to see what they see. Because the stones are made, you don't get a pure stone the way you see a diamond. It always has a curtain of mist. And we look at where this could be try to cut the stone best possible to get the maximum purity and size up. It's the same. So you find the soul of it, the mother of it. And then you understand why they say even the stone has a soul. It's created. It means just creation. Without that black spot, that mother, that soul, there is no creation. And then if you can get the right way, you can change the color of stone. This is a technique now I'm using. One of the parts of the technology I developed about 20 years ago, used by the Russians. Now they do the same process. In olden days, when you go and you buy a diamond, you look at a diamond. If you see a rainbow in a diamond, you're buying a damaged stone. The stone has to be very clear. What happened, what they do in the trade, in diamond business, they drill a hole to the mother. Sorry, I'll clear it out. If this is a stone, what they do, they drill a hole to the mother and take it out. But when they drill, they take the first piece out because it's like an orange. You know, when you make a dolma or whatever, you take the top off, empty it, and you put the top back. They keep the top. But the problem is this hole can be seen. What they do with it, there's a specific gel, silicone, which they fill the drill hole gap and the hole with. And when you look at a stone in the light, you see a rainbow in the stone because this interacts with this gel and creates a rainbow. 80% of the stone sold on the cheap end of the market, you see flawless. It's not actually flawless when you look at it. It's very bad. But now I developed a new technology a few years ago, and Russians watching the Keshe Foundation understood they can take this one out in a very different way. But in taking it out, now has led to the creation of new colors we've never seen before, because in extracting it, they leave little color dust. They have no control over the color. And doesn't leave this rainbow anymore, but creates new color, the same as we saw with the pink color. You see new color of diamonds because of the Keshe Foundation technology development. Because I had to explain this to the diamond boys. I was asked to how to do it. Because we never seen these new colors, never existed. In a way, you transfer the dust, as you all know now, you transfer this black mother into a GANS in a specific way, and now it's energy. And as this energy comes out, creates like the gas will stop, creating pink or red color, creates new colors. This, when I tell you that the Keshe Foundation's gone deep in many, many technologies, this is one of them. They wanted me to confirm how the Russians have managed to do this, and I said it's correct because I understand about it. You could explain to them conversion of the matter to energy and gas, and when it comes to it, you call it the gas in another state. And actually, Russians have become very good at it. They buy cheaper stones, $10, $20, $50 carats in Africa, take it to Russia, and change it to $1 million coin because people never seen these colors. But you're actually buying a fake stone. Not a fake stone, but tampered with the stone. Don't ask me what I know. I used to have a diamond ox and diamond for a long time. I know the game inside it. By touching a stone, I could get from which river they come from, which mine they come, where they've been mined. You feel it, it talks to you, feel the soul of the stone. In diamond business, it's very clear, one doesn't cross to the other. Africans dig, Lebanese transport. Bigger stones is for the Jews and therefore stones for the Indians and Chinese. And then it comes to dealership, which nobody cares. You can sell it, you can have any religion or color. Any other question?
We did have a question about what metals can be used to manifest red diamonds.
All depends on the reflection of the gas. It's a gas it reflects, it's not a metal. It's a reflection of gas. You can read it on the internet, you can find out. Shall we call it a day?
Yes, you certainly answered a bunch of questions at the end there. Thank you, Mr. Kish.
Thank you very much. Don't forget, tonight at 6 o'clock, we're going out with the testimonial of this week. We try to get as much as we can. Some of them talk for half an hour. We try to cut it here and there. And we try to make not a date to obligation that we have to do it. Once a week, we put the testimonials out. And hopefully soon we bring people, you can ask them if they want to answer. Thank you very much. And I hope now we will truly become passengers of the universe with the soul of physicality. Thank you, Rick, for being there. And hopefully soon we understand more.
Thank you, Mr. Kish. I've got a background image up here now with the information about this will be the third KFSSI space travel simulation testimonials. And it'll be Thursday, June 16th. That's today at 6 p.m., starting at 6 p.m. Central European time. And that's at the usual Zoom channel, the same as this one, which is the same as all of our public teaching workshops. Okay, if there's nothing else to announce, I think that's it for now. We have the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace coming up, but that's next Tuesday. Just check the date, the 21st, June 21st, and we'll announce that also in the space travel simulation testimonials. Okay, I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks everybody for being here today. Thank you for your questions. Any questions that aren't answered at this point, you can bring them over to next week's workshop. Okay, bye for now.